Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. This is Making Tracks. Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Dave Tree.
That's not true. That's impossible.
You're listening to Making Tracks. I'm your co-host Mark Newbold, and joining me today for the first time in 2 months, because I don't know where he's been. I think he might have been in Carbonite. He might have flown to the other side of the galaxy, because the galaxy apparently is really small now. You can do it in a shuttle. Dave, introduce yourself. Tell the people what you're about.
Well, I'm free Carbonite. Hello, everybody. My name's Dave. I'm calling you from all the cool stuff down in not-so-sunny Hampshire, in a little town called Fordingbridge and a little shop called All the Cool Stuff. Where have I been? Well, here, there, and everywhere I get around, but not as much as you, Mark. You have been on some serious travels since we last did this together. You've done some serious travels.
There's been some miles. I got lost in your dungeon. That was the start. I was there for a month. That's why we never did an episode in September, because I got lost in your dungeon. Yeah, it has been busy. I did earlier this week, last week, get it right, last week with Martin Keeler. Me and Martin went to New York Comic Con, which was really good. We had a really good time, got loads of content for the site, most of which you will hear in this episode. We sent loads back to social media. We were doing live streams and all sorts of stuff, so really busy, and there's stuff going up on Fantatrax TV as well, so there's all content going there. Yeah, we had a really good time, and the week before that I was at Pinewood for the Force Friday global reveal, when they rolled out all the Rise of Skywalker, Mandalorian and Fallen Order toys and products and all sorts of stuff, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Yeah, it has been pretty busy, but fun. And just so you know, Dave, just in case you wonder, it is chucking it down here as well, but I don't care, because I've got my new sofa, so I'm happy.
Sponsored by DFS.
It was DFS. Yes, it was. Yeah, sadly not sponsored by the water company this episode, but next episode maybe we will be, because DFS will probably put a cease and desist on the episode or something like that.
They will when they listen to it.
Where are we now? So we're about 65 days away from the Rise of Skywalker. We're less than a month away from the Mandalorian, and also less than a month away from Fallen Order. So it's all kicking off right now. Right now, as we speak, Dave, on this wonderfully wet afternoon, what are you looking forward to the most that's coming up?
So it's kind of weird, because I never thought I would put anything before a film, because really the films are what always propelled this whole thing along. And like the video games is huge, and me in particular, I have a huge fondness for like Star Wars video gaming and stuff like that. But it's got to be The Mandalorian. I am really curious and quite excited about what that's going to be. And I have thought about this, because I think for The Rise of Skywalker, you know the universe, you're already in it. You've gotten 2 chapters in, and for better or for worse, you kind of got more of that coming, whereas The Mandalorian's almost like a stepping on point. It's going to be something that is new, but still strangely familiar. The Fallen Order side of things, as much as I love video gaming, I'm not up to the current side of things. I'm always like 2 or 3 generations behind. So like the most up-to-date thing I have in terms of a video game is like PlayStation 2. I'm always into the retro gaming side of things. I'm always blown away by the new video gaming, what you can get it up to. But I also feel like it's not as innovative as it used to be. And you used to get quite a few Star Wars video games every year, and some of them good and some of them not so good. But now it's just like one title a year. And it's either a remake, as in Battlefront 4 or 5 or whatever. Yeah. So Fallen Jedi is kind of cool that it's the first new sort of video game in a while, but it's still something that's not really kind of captured me in that aspect. So it's got to be The Mandalorian. I mean, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm really excited for 9, really excited for Rise of Skywalker. I've read a few bits that I probably shouldn't have done, and I've seen some stuff that looks phenomenal. And if the bits I've read turn out to play out the way they've been written down, then I'm I'll be happy. It does wrap things up nicely from what I've read. No idea if that's correct, or I know there's been a huge amount of reshoots and added stuff, which is nothing new. Every film does it, but I know certain actors have been moved out and other actors have been moved in, and different things have happened. So, but it all sounds phenomenal. And Fallen Order, yeah, I collect games, but more as a collector for the box art and stuff than the actual games. But I am looking forward to having a crack at that. I'm definitely going to be buying that. But I think I'm the same. It's the Mandalorian. I think I've always liked the underworld stuff, so I'm really keen to really get into that underworld area and see what's going on. I know there's more to it than just that in the show, and I know a couple of people who've got some sort of insight, and they say that, you know, you get about halfway through the season and it really, really starts cooking. So, and I think there's going to be some cool, there's going to be some cool stuff coming, and I love the look of the Razor Crest. I think the character sounds interesting, and just the trailer with Werner Herzog, just his voice, it just makes it sound really, I'm itching to get stuck in.
So you saying that, you've actually just reminded me another reason why I'm kind of like slanting towards this. I'm always late to every party. So we were talking about Fallen Jedi. Talk to me about it in about 10 years time and I would have just got it. And I'll be playing it at that point. And I'm about halfway through Breaking Bad.
Right.
And have you done all of that?
It's funny you say that, because Ruth she saw the trailer for El Camino and says, "Oh, I really want to see that." I said, well, "Did you ever see Breaking Bad?" "No." I said, "Well, I saw seasons 1 to 4, never got to season 5 for whatever reason."
Right.
So she's kind of interested. So I says, "Well, let's just go back to season 1 and watch it from the beginning."
We've either just started season 3 or 4. I'm not sure off the top, but and I'm going to butcher this. Is it Giancarlo Esposito?
Esposito, yeah.
He is really good in that because he's so poker faced the whole time, and he plays like the businessman, and you know, in Breaking Bad he's kind of got like an alter ego thing going on.
Yeah. If there's not a reference to Los Polos, I'll be gutted. It's got to be something. It's got to be eating a chicken or something.
Just serving behind the counter.
That must be where the Kawaki monkey lizard on the spit. I hope he's the one that picks it up and starts eating it.
He's so good in that when I'd never made it, because I wasn't familiar with Breaking Bad or anything like that, but then it's like, oh, that's the dude that's in Mandalorian. Oh, right, cool. And like, then sort of seeing how he is, it's like, yeah, he can carry off this sort of like bad guy element really well. So, where I'm kind of like invested in something like that at the moment, you're then wanting to see more of those people in other areas, you know, like I want to start watching Malcolm in the Middle again, for example.
Oh, so funny you say that. I said this to Ruth. She says, where the guy that's in Breaking Bad, because we got talking about it, the guy that's in Breaking Bad, what else have I seen him in? I said, did you used to watch Malcolm in the Middle? No. I said, oh God, that show was so brilliant. And he wasn't the star of it, but he stole it. Yeah. Everyone remembers the mom for freaking out the kids. Everyone remembers Malcolm. The little kid went on to do other stuff. The brother was hilarious. The dad was wonderful. And I always think of the episode. Do you remember when he put all the Leica on and he went roller skating? That episode, we did the roller skate route. God, that was brilliant. Ever since then, I've been like, you are the man. So everything he does, Cranston, I'm into it because I like the guy. So he'd be a great actor to come into Star Wars at some juncture, wouldn't he? He'd be brilliant. Malcolm in the Middle was fantastic.
Something like that is also helping, weirdly, build up my excitement for Mandalorian, even though it's completely unconnected other than like an actor, but like just seeing someone in that, you're like, yeah, I think that's going to work well. And I also got my Topps card set as well.
Have you got it?
Yeah. Well, I never go in for this stuff. And I got suckered in.
It's fun though, isn't it? It's fun.
So I got I think it was like a 9 card set or a 10 card set of like the Mandalorian trailer. Yeah. And then there was another one where it's like the movie posters of Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian from what was revealed at D23. And I was like, yeah, go on then, I'll get that. I don't know why. I just did.
Why not?
Well,
come on, it's the end of the saga, right, which is a big deal. So anything you want to get is like, oh, this is the last time there's going to be a saga. And you talked about when Force Awakens came out, you made a really good point back in the day. It's like, we'll never have the start of a trilogy again, a saga trilogy again. And you didn't know it, really kind of know it at the time. It wasn't called the Skywalker saga when Force Awakens came out. It's kind of a new thing. That was cool. But now, this is it. This is our Star Wars version of Endgame, isn't it? It's the last one. And Mandalorian being the first live-action TV series, they've created the perfect storm in that sense. I think they've done, the marketing-wise, it's a good bit of business.
Yeah. I think you're right. And
Blimey, you're agreeing with me. Blimey, what's going on?
I always agree with you.
I know.
But like,
that's why I like you, Dave.
That's the only reason I'm here. But like, don't get me wrong. It makes it sound like I'm being ungrateful about the Rise of Skywalker. Of course, I'm going to be excited for it. But the thing is, at this point in time, for me, the unknown is more the Mandalorian. The Rise of Skywalker just feels familiar. Being involved in the toy industry, and oh look, it's another Y-wing. Oh look, at the moment, and this is the first time, particularly from like Lego side of things, that they've never really kind of teased product. And you'll get onto this with the Pinewood visit, sure. But a lot of it is already what you've seen before. Now, normally you do have one or two things, and there's a couple, but not many, that are like, ooh, that's new, that's different. What's that? What's a U-wing? What is an ACT? What is a kind of Imperial AT hauler? All of these things, but you kind of not really seen that with the exception of like the skiff and tread speeder, much on the Rise of Skywalker side of things. So that's what I mean. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, kind of seen that. Whereas Mandalorian really is kind of all new. I'm kind of like, oh, a repurposed AT-ST, that's kind of cool. And I then think back to The Force Unleashed, where there was like a level where you were in the forest against like a really tricked out Scout Walker that had like rocket launchers and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's kind of, oh, that's cool. That's a bit different than you see in like, especially with the New York Comic-Con side of things, like all the statues and like hot toys and things like that. And not just the Mandalorian either. You got the assassin droid there. It's like, yeah, this is going to be really cool. I like it.
Talking about computer games, we've got a couple of pieces coming up now. Martin was at D23 and he had the chance to chat with the Vader Immortal team. Episode 2 has just come out, so he had the chance to catch up with Ben Snow, Matt Martin and Jose Perez to talk about Vader Immortal. Let's head all the way over to Anaheim for D23. Martin talking to the team.
I'm here with the Vader Immortal guys. If you want to introduce yourselves and you can say what you do.
I'm Ben Snow. I'm the director of Vader Immortal.
Matt Martin, Lucasfilm Story Group. I'm Jose Perez III, and I'm head of experience design.
So we're here, and we're talking about Vader Immortal Chapter 2. So I've got some questions from the Fantha Tracks team, who have all come in, so brace yourself for this. So it's Chapter 2. The first question is, how many chapters do you think you'll be doing?
3.
3.
At the moment, the current plans are 3. We've got one more after this.
Are we right in saying that this is directly linked to Secrets of the Empire?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's directly linked. It's not as if you have to do one to understand the other. But yeah, they're definitely connected. There are things that you will experience in one that will be referenced in the other, but it's not, like I said, it's not a requirement.
So a bit of a gaming question, because you've said about being linked. Will everything you've achieved in Chapter 1, will that come with you for the following chapters? In this story experience, you're going to have all of the same kind of mechanics that you had from the first one, plus we're introducing the Force now, so that kind of grows with it. In the dojo, the Lightsaber Dojo 2, we have a bunch of new rewards that you can gain, but you're going to be gaining some of those rewards again through using some of your new skills, like throwing the lightsaber in the Force. Do you want to talk a bit more about Dojo 2? Yeah, no, Dojo 2 is definitely a passion project for us. The first Dojo was so fun, and we had such a great fan reaction to it that we wanted to really build off of that. And so, obviously, with Episode 2 really focusing on the Force, we were able to bring that into there and just have a lot more fun from a over-the-top kind of Forcey extravaganza of the whole thing. So it's way more exciting in that you can literally attack the enemies from a distance now by throwing your lightsaber or using the Force. It's actually pretty simple as far as how you interact with things. The Force is all on a single button, but that power feeling is there like that. As soon as you grab a droid and you lift it up and throw it, you're just like, all those training remotes that were really mean to you in the first dojo, you're just like murdering now, just throwing the lightsaber. So it's good stuff. So how much of your working day is testing the product?
Every day we're testing it. I walk past his desk at 11 at night and he's like going crazy. So.
The things you'll do to get this through, it's very good. The story mode, it's a pretty powerful story. So one of the things about Chapter 1, it's linear as a story, but it's obviously taken from the viewpoint. You are seeing what's going on. There's been some people saying, oh, you can do like a sandbox thing, but I guess that's the dojo side of it in there. Mm-hmm. So the story, from what you're saying, is like 3 very significant parts that then I guess completes the story.
3 acts, yeah. So you we do a lot of scene setting in Episode 1, and then in Episode 2 we get in it's a little more action orientated, but we still carry that story through essentially, and it all builds to what we'll see in Episode 3.
So, question for Matt.
Sure.
So it's
I'm worried already.
Nice little crossover coming here. So it's you've got Vader's castle, which everyone wants to know everything about. Looks like we're seeing a lot more than we ever imagined would be going on around Vader's castle. But there's also quite a lot with doing history and artifacts. Is there anything in Galaxy's Edge we should be looking out for?
Specific to Vader's castle?
Yeah, because we've got someone who kind of likes artifacts in Galaxy's Edge.
Are you thinking of something specific? Because now I'm like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm wondering.
Well, I'm thinking you've got Doc Ondor, who seems to have something from everywhere.
He does. He's a collector. He's kind of probably the biggest collector in the galaxy, but he's also runs a store. So the things in that store rotate. So at this point, I can't think of anything specifically from the castle, but that's not to say he's never owned anything or will never own anything in the future. But off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
So it's a good idea for people who like Vader Immortal to keep their eyes open when they go to Galaxy's Edge in the future.
I think in the future you should always be looking around Doc's shop for what you might find.
Like I say, you say it's not directly linked to the Void experience, and Secret Empire, but the Void's been hugely popular. It's like we all did it. Our minds were blown. Our minds are blown by this. It's great to be able to do this in your own home. But it does feel like a very similar experience, which was one of the things that genuinely surprised all of us, because we thought there's a huge difference to walking around versus doing it at home. Is there a thought pattern to say, we're not going to stop doing this after the first 3? I know you can't reveal anything.
ILMX Lab's about experimenting with narrative and in all sorts of media. So, absolutely. I mean, of course, we want to keep telling these stories. Working with the Void or making things for the home. There's different things that are great about both of them, so we intend to keep working in all of those areas.
Much fun to not, they're letting us do this stuff. We're going to keep doing it. So whether it's location-based experiences, home experiences, playing with, future mixed reality stuff, we're in it to win it. So.
Yeah. And we want to keep, I feel that that's been part of Star Wars as long as Star Wars has been. The idea that you're pushing technology, exploring narrative. Obviously, narrative is very important to George Lucas, and it's something that I feel we've been able to pick up that mantle and try and carry that forward, and we still within these try and play with different ways of storytelling and how you might see a story portrayed.
When you developed this, and I'm sure you've kept it in for a reason, but was you as surprised as perhaps the rest of us as how intense the experience is when Vader walks up to you? And like I say, some of the footage I've seen here, I'm thinking the Vader footage was enough, but Chapter 2 is going to make me literally back out the room. You're in Darth Vader's castle. It's a spooky place. You got to expect some of this. I think even around the office, the intensity of having some of these things show up from a scale perspective was like, whoa, okay, this is cool, but whoa, so it's there.
Yeah, it's definitely that moment when you first encounter something, you're like, whoa. then you're like, okay, this is going to be good. And so I guess you try and remember that after you've done it 50 times through testing.
Actually, I do have one last question, which is very significant to Matt. We do have a question from the fans trackers. Is there a tattoo yet of Vader Immortal?
Not yet. There could be. Yeah. I'm going to wait till episode 3 comes out.
That'll be the reveal on stage.
Yeah. That's actually how we're going to do like a big reveal of a new character or something. It's actually via tattoo.
Excellent. Well, can I ask you to promise to reveal it to us first, and we'll break the exclusive.
Sure.
New tattoo has arrived.
Yeah, if that actually happens, which it could.
The idea's there now.
Yeah, no, it definitely could. If that actually happens, you guys get the exclusive reveal.
Excellent. And obviously you guys, all three of you'd have to have the same. Obviously. Excellent. Right, well, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Enjoy D23, what you get to see of it.
It's been mentioned earlier, me and Martin were also at New York Comic Con, and one of the people that we spoke to there was the team at Arcade 1-Up. Now, have you seen any of these cabinets yet?
I've seen the 1-Up stuff online, and initially I thought, this is going to be incredible. And then someone explained to me that it's like almost like a 3/4 size cabinet, but it's still doing like the vector graphics and stuff like that. So it's very similar to a home product from the 80s called Vectrex, which I think was done by, I think it was Hasbro that did Vectrex or Milton Bradley's, one of the two. It's all like the vector graphics. But the thing you got with this is the yoke. You've actually got that Atari Star Wars yoke. So it's like, and I know that other products have been available via UK outlets like Littlewoods and Argos, but there's no word 100% on if Star Wars is going to be available over here as of when I was like looking into it. I'd love it. Can I justify it? Not really.
Oh, seriously, they had one there. I've got to say,
I think it would look good in the shop, don't you think?
Exactly.
That's how I got a 6-foot stormtrooper in here.
Well, if you can justify that, you can justify anything. I've got to say, we did. There's a video coming to Fantasy TV as well. So this is the audio, and there's also a video. So you will see the game in action. It is fantastic. Like you say, it's about 3/4 the size of the original one. It's not full scale. They've made the yoke the same. Let's listen to the guys from Arcade 1-Up. He'll explain all about the system, and then we'll come back to you in a second. So we're here at the Arcade 1-Up stand. I'm here with John.
Hey.
And you're going to talk us through the Star Wars arcade.
Yep.
This looks amazing. People in the UK are crazy for it. Tell us a bit about the cabinet.
Well, this is a great reproduction of the 1982 original Star Wars game by Atari.
Yeah.
With the vector graphics, and we have the lit marquee here. And what we're really proud of is the flight yoke.
Yeah.
It's really very close to the production flight yoke back in 1982, and people love it. You know, you're in an X-wing fighter and you're fighting
TIE fighters, X-wings,
TIE fighters, X-wing, Death Star.
It's all
going
in
through
there.
the towers. It's all in there. You know.
Well, that's the thing. I think people are excited. Back in the day when it was you had the stand up and the sit down as well, just blowing up those little.
What was those, the fireballs?
Yeah, exactly. The fireballs, everything
going
that
through
came
the
out.
trenches.
Exactly.
Using the Force.
Listening to that old MIDI music.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. But also, above and beyond that, you've also got Empire and Jedi in here as well.
That's correct.
So walk us through that a little bit.
Well, not many people have played Empire, you know, and the interesting part about that is Empire Strikes Back was almost like an expansion game, right? Basically, they wanted to refresh the Star Wars games. This was like 1985.
Yeah.
And they basically just took the hardware boards out and replaced it with Empire Strikes Back, slapped on an Empire sticker on the side, right? What was great about that game, it still had the vector graphics, but now you're actually in Hoth. You're fighting the AT-ATs, and you can actually boomerang their legs and make them fall. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
And of course you got around to Jedi.
Return of the Jedi,
the graphics have got better.
Well, it wasn't a vector-based graphics anymore. It was sprite-based.
Yeah.
You started on the moon of Endor, with Luke and Leia going through the forest and with their speeder bikes. And that game was incredibly hard.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's unplayable, but the great thing about this is that this versions that we have, you're able to adjust the difficulties through the UI and different options. So that's kind of a first for our new waves of Arcade 1-Up cabinets. Yeah.
So for our friends in the States listening to this, where can they find this? And what sort of price point are they looking at?
Right, we're looking at $500.
Yeah.
You can find them at Walmart, GameStop, Target.
Yeah.
But yeah, just check out arcade1up.com. And you can find out exactly where you can find this amazing arcade cabinet.
And for our UK viewers and listeners, obviously we know that Arcade 1-Up have got products out there in the UK already.
Correct.
Argos, Amazon, Smiths. Will the Star Wars product be coming eventually? I'm assuming it's a rights and licenses thing at the moment.
It is. You know, our goal is to have it in Europe by the end of next year, right?
Oh, superb.
We usually roll things out in North America first because of licensing.
Yep.
But again, our goal is to have this out for everyone worldwide, in the next year and a half or so. Yeah.
Well, you've got one guaranteed sale here.
I bet. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for walking us through this. Thank you.
Right.
One thing I love about it, many things I love about it, but one thing I really love about it is it is the same handle, it is the same sort of pad, they've recreated that perfectly, and it is Star Wars Empire and Jedi all in one box. Although even though I love Jedi, with the speeder bike and all the stuff going through the forest, I'm just going to play 3D Vector Star Wars again and again and again. They've just completely recreated it amazingly. It's fantastic.
You're just gonna do it, aren't you? I mean, I remember the first time I ever played, and I was amazed that I actually blew up the Death Star, and I thought, I'm the best at this game ever, and then you just then start again, and then it's more difficult. So it is just hooking you in enough for you to go through and enjoy the whole game, to then keep playing. Progressively gets harder and harder and harder. And I've only got a version of the game which was on Rebel Strike for the GameCube. I've got two versions of it. There was one that was built into the game itself, and then they did a demo disc that had a copy of the game on there as well. In fact, I'll actually dig that out for the next Farthest From. That'd be quite cool.
You should. But there's nothing more nostalgic than seeing this and hearing that MIDI music and just everything about it. And the cool thing about it is this as well. I don't know if you remember on Sky, I did the Fanatics and I won it. One of the prizes I won was the 7-foot tall cabinet, and this is probably 5 foot tall at a push. And I'm 6'4", so I'm not hunching over like crazy. It's right there in front of me. It's really well designed, and this one will fit in the collection room.
I was going to say, what happened to that then?
It was too tall for the collection room, so I had to sell it. But Ruth didn't. I know. I never physically had it in hand. Yeah, but I sold it for enough to pay for a holiday, so I wasn't too.
Yeah.
And now Arcade 1-Up are releasing this, which is gorgeous.
My name's Alan Harris. I enjoy getting information about films, and I rely on Fanford Tracks. Thank you.
There's a new book up called The Star Wars Pop-Up Galaxy, crafted, designed, written by Matthew Reinhart, artwork by Kevin Wilson. If you've seen anything of this, you'll know how cool this is. This is myself talking to Matthew and Kevin at New York Comic Con outside the Insight Editions booth. Let's have a little listen to what they had to say about the book.
So we're here at New York Comic Con. It's Thursday. It's opening day. I'm here with Kevin and Matthew. Talk about Ultimate Pop-Up Galaxy. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, this book is kind of like the journey through the whole entire Star Wars saga in pop-up. So it's like all these different places, all these different locations at important times in the Star Wars, the Skywalker saga, really. So there's like large pops, and a lot of them transform too. So there's things happening inside, so and then there's all these little side pops as well.
Okay, so this doesn't happen by accident. This is intensely designed. So, and you guys have to work hand in glove, obviously.
Yes.
So, how early is the design worked out, and consequently, how much of a heads up do you have to do the art?
Well, it takes me about 3 or 4 months to get all the paper engineering down, and then it's off to him.
Yeah. So Matthew will have this all fleshed out, effectively as a white card model.
Yeah.
And then he will give me all of those shapes, if you like.
Yeah.
And as my wife says, it's just a matter of colouring them in.
Oh, yes, of course.
It's as simple as that. So, and that in itself, I mean, Matthew will be feeding me that work while I'm working on it. But again, it's a matter of a few months from start to finish.
It must be, because like you say, every time you open up a page, you're not seeing what's actually within the page until you start pulling it and opening it, and more reveals.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, but it's amazing. It's fun at the same time. I mean, there's so many different details in this. Now, I'm an old school Star Wars fan up until now.
Sure.
So I just think about what do I want to see, where do I want to go, and what do I want to see when I go in there. So there's all kinds of. Well, I could do it but I'm getting in the way. You can, the Millennium Falcon goes through and comes out the other end. It's just it's a lot of fun. And this book also, you can enjoy it like a book.
Sure.
But then it transforms into a giant, sort of Star Wars map.
Yes.
So it becomes this huge, sort of table-sized display.
And this is going to sound like a daft question, you can't learn what you do in terms of having a three-dimensional angle on.
Well, this whole thing, I just saw, I just watched a demo on YouTube, and it was just like that. Well, I've been doing this for a long time now, about 20 years, and I've done about 40 different books over the years. This is my third Star Wars book. I did one back in 2007, another one in 2012, and so it's just like, what's the next thing? How can we go back to Star Wars and do something different?
Yeah. And for you, Kevin, when you're given, you know exactly what you're going to paint, because it's got to fit with the template, if that's the right place.
Sure.
So how much of a challenge is it for you to make everything fit? Because there's a skill in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps because Matthew's been able to build these as white cardboard models.
Yeah.
Definitely helps seeing that and knowing where everything lies. Knowing that these trees here are going to be dark and it's a nighttime scene on the back here as opposed to daytime scenes and things like that. But Lucasfilm are very good with providing the reference that we need and everything. That's it definitely makes life easier.
And we're fans too. We're big fans.
Absolutely.
So there's some really geeky stuff in here.
Yeah.
We snuck a few really big Easter eggs, and so because it's important to show we love this.
Sure.
We want to build out the universe. We don't want to just be a bland view of Star Wars. We want it to be rich in every way.
It's rich. It's certainly you're holding the book towards the camera, but I'm looking down the side and I can see stuff.
Oh, there's stuff down there. Well, because I've done a lot of pop-up books, and people don't just look at them, whether they're young or old. They don't just look at them like this. They want to look at it from every angle.
Yeah.
And we want there to be adventure in every inch of it.
So if you had to pick one, I know there's an episode 9 page in there, we're not going to show that, but if there was one thing that you want, that you could go, that's the one that really, gets my Star Wars cherry popped.
For me, before Matthew even sent this to me, I knew from the outset that I wanted either Jabba's Palace or Jabba's Sail Barge.
Sweet.
And that was...
Sail Barge.
And
if you pull this little tab, you can see Boba Fett flying off.
It's all in there.
Right into the Sarlacc, or close to it. But there's Jabba inside. Princess Leia is wrapping the chain around him. So, I'm a big Return of the Jedi fan.
Yeah.
So, Jabba. Anything with Jabba, he's my dog. Also, I love the Endor scene as well, so that we focused on that as well. So, I don't know. I mean, everything is, when you can make something. Actually, the Graveyard of the Giants was also really cool.
That's incredible.
Because just trying to figure out like how those broken shapes of the Star Destroyer, that was something fun to design.
And do you get a kick out of the technical challenge of making it work?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's hard. I love my job. My favorite part of it is the exploration, the paper engineering, and just like trying to figure out how it goes together.
Yeah.
The production is the part later on, refining it, making sure all the problems, because these are handmade.
Yeah.
So they there are going to be mistakes here and there, and you have to figure out like what those things are, and you have to come up with solutions. That's the part I hate. But the initial design is like the most fun.
Yeah. And you say you just use the word solution. What's the trickiest? Oh, sorry. What's the smartest solution that you guys came up with?
Oh man, I can't even. Smartest? I don't know.
Because there's got to be some little tricky sort of that makes it all work.
Like the Death Star is a weird engineering thing because this thing, it's a different way of making sort of a sphere. Now it's hard to make spheres out of, so you can see it's not exactly a sphere, but this one actually folds, unlike other pops of spheres, it actually folds in on itself. So not only does the pop, it goes flat like a basketball, and then it folds in on itself. Yeah. So it's this whole new thing. That was hard, but I think I'm the most proud of that design because it was just weird. Yeah. I love weird new, structures.
Yeah.
I think for me, again, it was probably the cover art, trying to encompass the whole saga.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Across one piece.
All across this one piece. And what's cool is we actually turned this into, there's a limited edition of this book that has a special pop that comes with it. That's a poster of this. It's a 3D poster. So imagine this popping up, being three-dimensional, and then has a transforming, you can see Kylo and then Vader's face. It turns from Vader's face, you pull the tab, and it turns into Kylo's face. So, but there's only a few hundred of those. Those are special, they're signed, and they're pretty cool.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk all about that on the site. We can't wait to review it properly. We've been looking forward to this for a long time. So, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for your time.
Yeah.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you.
As you can hear, they're super excited about the book coming out. It's an absolute dream of engineering. I don't know how they've done it. And when they showed the book to us as we were talking to them, it wasn't just looking at it straight on or looking at it from the back or even from the sides. It was as they were moving this beautiful thing around, you could look into the paperwork and see other things inside. It's just insane, the detail that's in there. Next level. I've never seen a pop-up book like it.
Real affinity towards pop-up books. The artwork that goes into it isn't strictly to say that it's not two-dimensional. It's not. It's kind of like get that. You're having to think not from the paper that pops up, that springs up, 3 dimensions and that. If you were to flatten that artwork out, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yes.
That's what I love about it is if you were to try and look at that and how they've created that, and then the paper folding that's involved and things like that to kind of get it to fit around that shape and that contour. It's absolutely brilliant. And I think pop-up books as a whole in general are massively underrated. I think are just absolutely fantastic. And then when you start seeing stuff like this, it just takes it beyond what that is. No longer like the Hungry Caterpillar type thing. It's like this just phenomenal, there's movement involved. There's electronics involved and stuff like that. I remember when I got the Macquarie Mos Eisley one and it had the sound chip at the end and you're like, wow, these things are just beautiful.
You make a good point there about the Macquarie book because that's still probably my favourite pop-up book, but I'd love to think if he was still around with the technology, paper technology that Reinhardt's used on this and his work with Kevin Wilson. I want to make sure Kevin got a good shout in because his artwork is supreme and it's not, like you say, it's not your basic 2D painting. He's painting in 3 dimensions as well as, and very much to a specific template that has been designed already. They do like the paper version, the plain paper version to make sure it works. But Kevin was saying about the technology of in a pop-up book, you open up one page and the Death Star appears. How do you make a foldable Death Star that looks globular, that will still fold down and not keep getting caught? It was insane, the detail that's gone into it. And I'd love to see what Macquarie would have done with it.
I mean, Reinhardt's done a couple of these now, and each time it's the step forward has been quite significant. As an area of collecting Star Wars pop-up books as a whole, you've got quite a few really cool ones to go back, and some of them are relatively affordable. You know, they're not all like crazy expensive or anything like that. And they're just really nice. They're all just really, really great storybooks. And the artwork within them is very different and unique compared to any other kind of like Star Wars storybook. If you've not dabbled in this area before, I would I don't even have the book, but I will be getting hold of it. Yeah. I would thoroughly recommend, if you've never actually had a chance to look at any of Reinhardt's publications, they're definitely worth checking out. With Christmas coming up, stick it on your Christmas list.
Voice of wisdom, I like that. No, that's a good shout. It's a very good shout. They are fantastic. And like I say, I'm the same. I've got quite a little collection of pop-up books going back to, the original Star Wars Empire and Jedi ones, Battle of the Bounty Hunters. They did the vehicle ones back in the 90s, didn't they? And obviously, Reinhardt's previous, I think this is his third pop-up book, so he's done a couple before. There was Quarry one. There's some beautiful stuff out there. So.
You got those Random House flip chart ones.
Yep.
You make the sentence, don't you? And it's the back end of a Tauntaun with like Lando riding it, who's going through the swamp, and they're really cool as well. I love all that stuff.
It's cheesy in just the right way, isn't it? For Star Wars, it's, I think back to a pop-up book in the sense of back when you got a Super 8 of about 10-minute edit of the whole film, because nobody had videos and nobody could, you couldn't afford to own it if you wanted to. Star Wars has still got that about it in certain places, and this kind of harkens back to that. This is the sort of thing that as a kid you'd have gone, oh wow, I feel like I've got a bit of the film in my hands, when I could never ever have the film in my hands. Back then it was that kind of different vibe, wasn't it? It very much, for me, I think, and for you clearly, it harkens back to that kind of hands-on feel of Star Wars back in the day.
No, definitely.
I'm Derek Arnold, and I get my news from Fantha Tracks.
Now, we have been out and about a lot lately, and one of our other roving reporters, Paul Naylor, was at HooFest, and it's Paul talking to Nick Joseph from A New Hope.
Okay, so we're at HooFest over in Shropshire at Hoof Farm, which is a farming attraction. And I'm here today with Nick Joseph, who, to Star Wars fans, is known probably best as the medal bearer at the end of A New Hope. Hello, Nick.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
So I've seen that you do a lot of these type of conventions. You're well known on the scene. Do you enjoy getting out there meeting the fans?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Even after all these years, people still want to come and have a chat, don't they?
Still want to come and have a chat, yeah.
Must be lovely, that. Must be lovely. Yeah.
I've just got back from America.
Yeah.
And went to New Jersey.
Yeah.
We had about 70,000 people turn up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I was in Chicago earlier in the year at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah. So have you been over to the States a lot?
Yes, I was in Boston in Massachusetts, and as I say, I just got back from New Jersey, and now the next one is in Nashville. Then I'm off to New Mexico. Then I'm off to Gibraltar, and then Australia.
So you've made a full-time job out of being a medal bearer.
Absolutely.
And I don't blame you. So what was the experience like? I mean, can you still remember it vividly?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How old were you at the time?
I was in the early 20s.
Yeah.
And going on the set, what do? Called for a couple of days, and that couple of days turned into 15 days for me. But we did the first couple of scenes on it there, and then we finished. And then I was called back again to do some close-ups and lots of other bits and pieces. So,
did you get to spend much time with any of the main cast?
Yes, I kept in touch with Carrie and Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
I still keep in touch with Mark now.
Yeah.
And good days, good laughs.
Brilliant. And the costume, I mean, it's quite an ordinary looking costume, if you like, but because of that, it seems to stand out. The medal bearers are quite prominent, aren't they? I mean, they're meant to blend into the background, but because they're so ordinary looking, if anything, they stand out.
That's it.
Yeah, they almost look like Imperial officers. I thought perhaps you were going to get a blaster out and shoot all the heroes at the end, but
I got to keep the cap at the end.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did they know about that?
Yes, they didn't need anything, so got that, and I sold it last year.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So an auction in America.
Yeah. Well, I hope you made a fair price on that.
I made a fair price.
Good man.
Yeah, half a crown.
Less VAT. Oh dear. So, apart from Star Wars, you've obviously been attached to another big sci-fi franchise, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yes.
And then you've done a bit of work on James Bond as well.
Yes,
A good friend of mine's coming here later today. He's a big Bond fan, so he's bound to want to have a word. But, yeah, what were those experiences like?
Good. With Roger, we had some good laughs doing that.
So that was with the Spy Who Loved Me, yeah?
Excuse me. One of the scenes we came down, I ran first, he was behind me. We came down, we had to sit behind us a barrel. Excuse me, I'm going to
That's okay.
Sat behind a barrel and firing away. All of a sudden, some water come down all over me. Thought the roof was leaking. We carried on. Another lot. Turned around. There's Roger Moore behind me with a water pistol.
Well, I'm sure that's not what he normally carried. And Doctor Who, you worked with a couple of the Doctors.
Yes, I had Tom Baker. I did Leisure Hive with him.
Yeah.
Then I did 2 with Peter Davison, Black Orchid and Terminus.
Yeah.
And I did one with Colin Baker, which was Mark of the Rani.
Yeah.
That was a good one. We had a good laugh because we were up at the Iron Bridge.
Oh yeah.
Just up
the road there, yeah.
Near the around the little forest area around there.
Okay. Yeah. So you worked locally on that one.
That's a lovely area around there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And where do you actually live? Are you local? Or?
I live in Essex.
You're in Essex. Okay.
4-hour drive.
Yeah.
Near enough. So as long as the M1's clear.
Yeah. Did you ever? Were you ever asked to appear in another Star Wars film, or did you ever?
No, George Lucas wouldn't let me do anymore. He said, I think you've been featured enough for this. Not only as that, but I was in this part.
So you're in the Rebel briefing room there, yeah. Is that as the same character?
As the same character.
It is the same character, isn't it?
That's before he was made a major.
Yes.
Because what he was really, Arho Extrafon was just a reporter.
All right, okay.
And after, through the war, they made him into a non-combat major.
All right.
And from there, he became good friends with Han Solo and Chewbacca. Because what happened is that Arho Extrafon got captured by the Algerian slavers and imprisoned in their ship. And Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca rescued him. And then they remained friends after, and that's why.
That was like in the extended universe, was it? They put that into books, yeah?
And that's why Han Solo got the first medal.
Well,
that's a little story to everything. I'll put it on there, and it's all on here.
Well, that's favouritism. You're looking after Han Solo. Well, that's been brilliant, Nick. Pleasure meeting you.
And you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
And you.
As part of your travels out and about, you've done something that is particularly cool in the last couple of weeks. You were invited up to Pinewood Studios, so the home of the sequel trilogy, to be part of a press event ahead of Triple Force Friday. And this was the media reveal of all the Hasbro products, Lego products, Funko products. You got the chance to kind of be shown this with the world's media, and it was streamed live at the same time with the Star Wars show as well. Tell us about it, man. I mean, that is so cool.
Two amazing things about the day. The one amazing thing about the day was all the little nibbles they give you on the little trays and stuff were all fantastic.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You thought I was talking about the toys. I'm talking about the food,
Toy schmoys. I mean, the nibbles are amazing. All the drinks were alcoholic. You had to go to the bar to have a non-alcoholic drink, and I was driving home, so that was very nice. And also, I can say almost with pretty much supreme confidence that for at least 2 days, the back of my head was more famous than the front. Let's put it that way. Because they were very sweet, Disney. They said, you are on the front row. I was like, oh, wow, I'm on the front row. That's usually a bad thing because I'm pretty tall, so I block people sitting behind me, and I usually slouch in my seat. I thought, sod that, I'm not slouching in my seat. So I sat upright in my seat. And of course, Warwick's on stage, so I nearly blocked Warwick. Just to say, give a quick shout out to James at Jedi News. James was there as well. They were the only other website that I recognised whilst there. There was magazines there, The Entertainer were there, SFX were there, Clayton Sandell came over and covered it for ABC News in America, so there was all sorts of people there, but the only other website that I recognised was James from Jedi News, so just a quick shout out to James because it was good to catch up with him.
The UK fandom was leading the way, is what you're saying?
I would say yes, in this respect. In relation to this event, I would say yes, definitely. So it was very cool. So yeah, you're right, it was at Pinewood, but you didn't directly drive to Pinewood. They sent us to a golf course, or rather the car park of a golf course. So parts of in the car park, all get on a bus. 2 great big buses get sent along with Force Friday plastered on the side of them. Drive into Pinewood to the little cafe that's there. We waited in the cafe, and then they took us in. So I sent quite a few pictures back of the walk in to the area where they'd got Kylo's mask from episode 9. They'd got the refixed or the fixed lightsaber was in there. There was the Medal of Yavin was in there. Everything's embargoed, of course, because it's nothing can go out till like 8 o'clock at night, and this was sort of 4 in the afternoon. So they gave us time to go in to the room where all these 2 gondolas were laid out with all mixed stuff from the 3 properties on one side, and then they broke it down to Mandalorian, Rise of Skywalker and Fallen Order on the other. Obviously took plenty of pictures from that, and then led us into the main room for the global reveal recording, which, as you just mentioned, they sort of intercut it with stuff that they'd pre-recorded back at Skywalker with some of the actors and cast. So you saw Daisy, you saw Boyega, you saw Oscar Isaac, you saw Naomi Aki, who was actually there on stage with Eunice, which was very cool. It was a really good event, and I've got to say, for not that I've been to a huge amount of these type of events, they did a Gillette event for Rogue One a couple of years ago, also at Pinewood, which was very cool, but didn't reveal or give anything like this sort of involvement, if that makes sense. All the Disney staff were friendly and knew who we were, although it does help to walk around in a shirt with your name written on it. I find that's very useful. So yeah, the reveal was fantastic. It was really good. You could chit-chat to people, which we did. It was very good, and I think there's a sense of the saga's finished now. 9 is pretty much done. I think they're probably noodling around with final shots, but for the most part, it's done. There was a cool element of this is probably the last time they'll do a Triple Force Friday. I would imagine that's a one-off, but it might even be the last Force Friday. I can't imagine. Or maybe they will when we get to 2022 and the next film comes. I don't know, but it just felt like it was the last of something. So, yeah, I'm really rabbiting on, but it was a very good event. It was a nicely done event. Hats off to Disney for putting on such a good show.
You know, we were all living vicariously through you with, like, the coverage and then, like, the Star Wars show. And it built it all up for that rather big crescendo that was Triple Force Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good, yeah. Do I sense a hint of sarcasm in that take?
There's no sarcasm at all. A lot of work went into that, is all I could say. Yeah.
No, it was cool. It was cool for Fantatrax. It could have easily been any of the 5 of us. It just happened to be me. But it was cool in the sense that we've not even been going 2 years. As we record, it's the 14th. We're not 2 years old till the 31st of October. Which is kind of crazy that we were involved in that. There was things that happened at New York that we were involved with as well. You know, for a site that's only 2 years old was kind of really cool. So yeah, it was very neat to be there.
Hi, this is Gareth Edwards, director of the best standalone Star Wars film since Caravan of Courage, called Rogue One. You're listening to Fantatrax. Enjoy.
But as big an event as the global reveal for Triple Force Friday was, there's an even bigger event coming up on the 30th of November and the 1st of December. Dave, talk to us about Farthest From, the return of Farthest From, because I'm proper excited about this.
As Mark mentioned, the 30th of November and the 1st of December, we have the return of Fantha Day on the Saturday the 30th and Farthest From on Sunday the 1st of December. So if you have never heard of either of these, just to give you a bit of a lowdown, Fantha Day on Saturday the 30th of November is our own little mini show that we do down in Fordingbridge in Hampshire. We take over the town hall and we have lots of cool things going on. What's really taken off in the last sort of year or so are like the little carnival games that we have. We brought those to the Star Wars Zone at London Film and Comic Con earlier this year with bantha racing, pork shooting. I mean, everybody wants to shoot a pork. Play your sabak right, which is play your cards right. So you get the chance to like take part in these games and then you can build up your points to win prizes and things like that. We quite often have other content there. So where I mentioned earlier about the video gaming, we normally have some retro gaming there as well. And also some guests as well. Now, I am pleased to say, because we haven't officially announced this yet, so you guys the first to know, we have a couple of guests that are coming to Farthest From. Panther Tracks was very integral to Comic-Con at Film New Forest at the start of the summer, and whilst we were there, we had a couple of first-time signers in the form of Matthew Downs and Danny Barker, who were extras in The Last Jedi. Matthew was an X-Wing pilot, and Danny was a Resistance trooper. But they will also be joined by Simon Downs. Now, Simon is the brother of Matthew and cousin of Danny, so it's all a family affair. But Simon was the second assistant director for The Last Jedi, and he was also on screen as well. Now, he does have a character name. I cannot remember what that name is because I just always call him Tug. But at the very start of the film, Simon saved Billy Lord in a nutshell. He is the pilot just as the Resistance last shuttle takes off and it blows up behind them from the dreadnought where it opens fire. And you see Simon, he's one of the pilots at the front there with Lieutenant Connix in the middle just as they're making their escape. So Simon is not only he's on screen as Resistance lifeboat shuttle pilot or so he's not
conductor.
He's not as cool as an X-Wing, and that's why I keep reminding him compared to his brother. Yeah, so he was on screen, but also the second assistant director. Now this is his first ever signing. He's never done a show before, so we got two guys who this is their second event, and then one who's a first appearance. On that Saturday, it's also the Fordingbridge Christmas light switch on, so we'll have lots of other stuff going on, but outside, the road gets closed in the afternoon, and literally, you're in for a treat, Mark. You have never seen anything quite like this. The place is rammed, and we're talking thousands of people, and you're just like, where are they at any other time?
Yeah.
It's genuinely very, very strange. But what I've been told by some of my customers is that Fordingbridge, for whatever reason, makes a bigger deal about switching on the Christmas lights than some of the surrounding cities like Salisbury, for example. It's more of an event here. We got Harry Redknapp switching on the lights.
Wow.
So if you're into your football, you get a chance to meet Harry.
I'm going to bring him a roly-poly. I know he loves his roly-poly, so I'm totally doing that.
I've been told one of the potential locations where he has to address everybody is from the balcony at the town hall where Panther Day is.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, you'll be able to corner him and eat some jam roly-poly.
No, I'm going to bring him a bag full of dead crickets and spiders and make him eat them. Because he won I'm a Celebrity, didn't he? So he'll eat anything.
Yeah. That's all going on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday we change over for Farthest From, and Farthest From is the incumbent show that we've been running. This is the 21st Farthest From.
Oh, you're legal now.
Yeah, and it is a show that is squarely aimed at all the vintage toys and collectibles and memorabilia from the original trilogy release. We have a rule that basically nothing after 1995. So anything up to that point, you'll see in abundance at Farthest From. And if you've never been before, it is truly a step back in time in two aspects. Number one, with the stuff that you see there, but also harking back to the traditional toy fairs from the 90s when I first started getting back into toy collecting. This was pre-eBay, pre-internet, pre-everything. This was the only way you were able to pick up and see some of this stuff was to go to little tiny shows and stuff like that. This is a love letter to it. And as part of that, we got a couple of features. We got the Farthest From Grails. Holy Grails.
Yep.
We're doing a small display of something that you don't see every day, which will be a new feature going forward at every show. So the chance to see some form of rare collectible or collectibles, a collection of such, will be on display. I've put a couple of clues up to this one that we've got lined up for December, of which it hasn't been seen by the general public since 2007. So if you've got your detective hat on, you might be able to kind of work out what was going on around about 2007.
Dave, is it Barry Eldridge? Is it life-size Barry Eldridge?
Barry was here last year, so he popped in to say hello when he was back visiting. But that would be quite a good one. But you're in the right area. You're actually, I think you're in the right kind of thinking. And also, we got the introduction of Farthest From Legends, which is our opportunity to pass on what we have learned is a schedule of panels and presentations at Farthest From, where we can now expand and use upstairs as well as the main hall and get a chance to learn about aspects of toy collecting, memorabilia that you might not necessarily be always familiar with. I've announced the first one as video gaming one, so it's like looking at the infringement of Star Wars in video gaming. We talked a lot about video gaming in this episode.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've been kind of banging on and boring the back ends off my fellow Fantha trackers for quite some time, because I'm like, oh, look, I've got this in. And it's like, yeah, that's great, Dave. Can you just hurry up and get on with doing an article? Or, oh, okay, there's another one. Yeah, that's great. Can you just kind of but I can't, Mark. I can't draw a line in the sand.
I know.
There are several things I need to get to complete this before I can get this out there. And the reason is, once it is out there, everybody would just be like, minds blown, going, wow, I didn't realize any of this. I'm going to start collecting it. And if I've not finished what I need to get before then, I'm never going to have a chance, because everybody's going to be looking for the stuff. It's very interesting. It really is a take on stuff that a lot of people haven't seen before. We've got another 2 presentations that are lined up. And again, I haven't gone public on these yet. We have one that is an international presenter who's joining us for the show, and details will come soon about that. And the other one is going to be talking about an area of British toy collecting and giving you an insight on that. And they're doing a book signing, which again hasn't officially been announced. So I won't say who, but you could probably take a guess on who some of these people are, but they will be announced shortly. So there's quite a lot of really cool content for both days. So why not make a weekend of it? Come down, join us, join Harry Redknapp, see some Christmas lights, play some Star Wars games, win some prizes, see a lot of old toys and stuff that you had, now you can't afford, and have a beer. We've probably got a few other announcements to add to that. That's just literally the opening salvo, so to speak. But if you don't already, follow Farthest From on Facebook or Fantha Tracks, and then you'll be able to be kept abreast of all the announcements and updates that we've got planned for it.
That sounds amazing. Can't wait for it. Take a breath, Dave. Take a breath. Take a breath. No, that was very good. We're all looking forward to it. It's always great fun. We always have a laugh. The Ringwood beer is amazing. That's worth the trip alone, let alone all the other cool stuff. But I'm really looking forward to Farthest From Legends. I'm looking forward to all the panels upstairs. It's always been good to listen to panels at the show, so I'm looking forward to that very much. So can't wait.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, and you are following Fantha Tracks.
So, whilst I was at New York Comic Con walking the floors, one of the places we stopped at was the Hallmark stand, PopMinded by Hallmark. We had a chat to Christine, and she walked us through what's coming out imminently and what's already out. So this is the first part of a 2-part chat with Christine looking at the Hallmark stand.
Okay, so we're here at the PopMinded booth, Hallmark. I'm here with Christine. Hello.
Hi.
So we're going to look at what's coming up in 2020. I'm going to let you point and shoot at stuff. So where should we start?
You've already pointed out one of my favorite items that we're going to have, and that is a Tauntaun Biggie with a itty bitty Luke inside the belly. He'll go actually all the way in and close up, Velcro up in there, so he can ride around inside the Tauntaun and stay warm during this winter.
That's such a good idea. I want a full-size one.
I know. I wish we could make it that big, but and then of course Hoth Leia. And if you didn't already catch a theme going on, is we're celebrating the 40th of Empire Strikes Back.
That makes me very happy.
And so we've also done Empire Han, and Chewie in the Falcon. And if you look next to it is a special one. This is just the sculpt that we've gotten done.
Yeah.
We wanted to start doing some cool things like behind the scenes. And so we asked Lucasfilm, hey, what if we were to do that? And of course, the first one we wanted to do was Chewie and Leia, because that hug is so iconic, and it's Empire Strikes Back behind the scenes, and we thought that was a cool addition.
That is a very cool idea. I love that idea.
And then for May the 4th, we're going to do a metal AT-AT. You also see a Wampa picture frame. So, if for your cold winter photos, the Wampa can hold that for you.
That's a good idea.
And then we are also showing sort of all of the other ornaments. So we've got Mahdi being choked by Vader.
I love that.
We've got some minis. We're going to introduce some minis. These have been people have been wanting to do minis.
Yeah.
Again, we did them a long time ago. And so we'll have Luke and Vader. And then we'll also over here the X-Wing and Vader's TIE Fighter.
That's a great idea.
And then the Dagobah. The ship, with the landing gear up.
Yeah.
So, and then the Luke helmet is continuing our helmet series with sound.
Yeah.
But also another cool feature that you guys are kind of the first to hear about this one is the Yoda here. You can't see it very well. It looks like just a larger Yoda ornament. But that Yoda ornament is actually going to have motion and sound where his mouth and his eyes will move as he talks, and some of the most iconic quotes from the saga.
That's new tech, I assume?
That is new tech. So it's be introduced next year for the first time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then we'll also...
Is there the potential then, if you want to do other lines, other characters, you can roll with it if you want to? Yeah.
There is potential. Of course, there's only certain characters I think it probably makes sense for, so we're thinking through all of that. Cool. And, of course, there's gifts that are displayed that are also coming out. Those are spring gifts in April that you're seeing with the ornaments. Another one is BB-8. We've done him before, but we didn't do him with sound and didn't do him with his little armature out doing the thumbs up or whatever it is people think that he's doing with his lighter.
True.
And then 2 more Lego ornaments, Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
So that really wraps it up for most of the ornament line. And then the rest that you see are gifts. We are doing back up to the Yoda bookend, we're doing a Vader levitating the book. So people love the Yoda so much, we thought we would add Vader levitating it now too.
Like you say, that the emphasis very heavily is on Empire, isn't it? So it's good that people are remembering to honour the 40th anniversary of that film.
Yeah, well, it's one of my favorite films for sure.
Yeah.
I was young, but my parents left me in the theater and I watched it 2 more times that day that they took me that morning. So yeah, I was a huge fan, and I cried when Han was put in carbonite.
Yeah.
I was really worried about him.
I was.
For 3 years.
Yeah, I know people forget. 3 years. 3 years as a coffee table. That was tough, wasn't it? Well, thank you for showing us next year's range.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you later.
Well, thank you.
We'll be back with Hallmark shortly, but in the summer, I had the chance to sit down with Anne Neumann from Rancho Obi-Wan. Rancho has announced the gala for next year. It's coming in June, second weekend of June. Slight change from where they normally do. It's usually back end of October, early November. They've moved it into the summer, so the weather's nicer. It's going to be warmer. It's going to be lighter. There's less chance of rain. And it's going to be more of a barbecue-style event happening over 2 days. So they're going to do like the poker tournaments and the wine tasting on the one day and then have a barbecue on the next day. Should be a lot of fun. I had the chance to catch up with Anne, talk about the gala, talk about Rancho and what's going on, and this is my chat. Now that the gala is coming back, give us a bit of the down low on what we can expect when the gala comes back in 2020.
This time it's going to be 2 days. Friday night will be reserved for the wine tasting. In the last few galas, we've had the wine tasting on the same night, and it seems to be a little too much for the night. So we're going to split that out, and we'll have hors d'oeuvres or something for the wine tasting Friday night. And then Saturday afternoon will be the main gala, which is going to be, since it's summer, more of a summer barbecue kind of vibe. There will be a lot of outdoors barbecues. We're going to use our 2 BQ to do some smoking and, some fun different things.
What way do you want to change it from, because it's always been November, and I know last time, the last gala, I think you stepped it back a couple of weeks to October. What made you think, let's make the most of the lovely weather? I'm assuming that was it. Get the most of the summer and longer days, longer nights. Was that the decision behind moving it into the summer?
Yeah, so we're in a Mediterranean climate, and as you know, it's a summer dry, winter wet. So we've always been pushing up against wet, cold weather in November. The rainy season usually starts in November, and it usually ends in April. So we really wanted to get away from the things necessary to protect against weather. And summertime, we had to adjust it to accommodate celebration. So we picked June. Seemed perfect.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I know this year, and I think you've worked so crazy hard since Rancho really got going. When 2011 was it when Rancho opened officially?
Correct, November 5th, 2011.
There you go. So it's been like non-stop for you guys since then. So this year's felt like a very logical year to loosen the belt a little bit and have a little bit of a breather. Although I'm saying that as somebody looking in from the outside, but it hasn't stopped at all for you guys, has it?
No, not generally.
So for people that don't know, what would roughly a general day be like for you, specifically for you? What would your day entail?
Well, today, for instance, we're starting the day in about an hour with our tour of the week. And I've got the docents that just arrived, and we'll do a tour until about 2 o'clock. During that time, I'll work in my office and be there if needed. Steve and I will join the tour and talk to people and answer questions. Then this afternoon, I have a bunch of phone calls to talk to people. In the evening, I usually do a lot of database work and accounting work and paperwork and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cataloging that goes on during the day, during tours, and a lot of box moving. We move a ton of boxes around.
So you mentioned the tour. People familiar with Rancho know all about the tours, but you're doing something a little bit different now with these tours. Can you explain a little bit about that? Because it's changed up a little bit, hasn't it?
For this fall, we're introducing the deep dive tour, and it's different from the gala. It's different from the regular tours. We're really picking a subject that we're going to concentrate on, and I've got very specific people who are experts in those subjects coming to talk. And it's also dinner, wine and beer, and it's a really intimate, special group. It's only limited to 20 people, so a very small group. I kind of want the feeling of, and we try to do this all the time, but you're coming to our home, and we just want you to feel like you've come home to visit. And we're just going to be very casual, talk about our subject, have some dinner together. I'm cooking you dinner on our R2BQ. Have you ever had my brisket, Mark?
Well, you know, I mean, I've been there enough times, but no, I've never seen. I've seen it on Facebook. Every time you strike the thing up, I think, oh, I wish I was there. I really want to try this. I nearly requested you send me some through the post, and I thought that's probably not a healthy, safe thing to do. So that didn't happen. But no, I've not. I've missed out there.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm from Texas, and I've always missed my barbecue from Texas. And Philip Wise so graciously has sent me R2BQ, which is an ugly drum smoker dressed up to look like R2D2. And I learned how to make the brisket on that, and it's a hit. So we'll be doing a barbecue and wine tasting and really focusing on our subject and just having a really nice, simple time together.
And what kind of subjects are being specified this time? I know you've got some really interesting people taking care of this.
So comic books is our first one on August 31st, and it's with Brian Christensen, who owns Brian's Comics in Petaluma. And he was actually a nominee for this year's Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award. So he's had his comic book store now for several years, and he's an expert on that. On September 28th, we're going to have posters with Pete Vilmer. As you know, he was co-author with Steve on the poster book. And, I didn't mention that these deep dive tours, you're getting a tour with Steve Sansweet. Steve rarely does tours these days. We've got a great team of docents that do the tours, but he doesn't give too many full tours. So you're getting a tour with Steve. For the posters, Steve and Pete wrote the poster book, so they will be presenting the posters. On October 12th, we have Lego, and our docent Mark Morita will be giving that tour. He owns a store called Brick Hut. November 2nd is Vintage Kenner with our docent Dwayne Smith and Mark Huber, who is an expert on Power the Force coins. On November 23rd, we'll be doing trading cards with our board of directors member, Rich Smallin, who owns his own trading card business and has been into trading cards all his life.
That's cool. One thing I always think when I visit is I love the library. That room just blows me away. I just adore that room. And I always think you could just visit Rancho and just be in the library. And there's enough stories in that room to occupy a weekend. So to focus is a really cool concept.
Yeah, we just really wanted to provide something extra for people, something that they would be interested in and really enjoy deeply.
Now is a better time than ever, if you're not already, to become a member of Rancho Obi-Wan. Can you just explain to our listeners what they would need to do to become a member?
Please go to ranchoobiwan.org. There's all the information there. And the membership fees help us continue our operation. We do a lot of charitable work. And we give tours here. We bring an exhibit to Celebration. So all that goes to help us continue our mission of inspiration and to be there for the fans.
And you mentioned Celebration. Chicago was just a few months behind us now. How did Celebration go for you guys?
It was great. We met so many people. We had so many people through the booth, more than ever before. We had 9,000 people through the booth, I believe.
Wow.
Something like that. And we've already got our exhibit planned for the next Celebration. It's going to be spectacular.
We're going to be there. We're looking forward to seeing you there. I'm absolutely certain I'm going to get out to the gala in June. I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Tuesday night. Time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. Welcome to Making Tracks.
here's our second catch-up with Christine at Hallmark, talking us through the Hallmark PopMinded booth.
So we're back on the Hallmark booth with Christine.
Yes,
and we're going to look at the current range of stuff that's available. So what have we got? Tell me, because I'm looking at stuff that's making my geeky heart very happy.
Well, a lot of people love the Fallen Adat tape dispenser. That's been out for a year, I think, now. And then the paperclip holder. He actually has a magnetic hand that will, like,
that's a good idea.
Hold on to the paperclip, so it looks like he's using the Force. One cool thing about this ornament that it's coming out this Saturday is we actually used Anthony Daniels' voice in this. So he recorded an original recording, actually while he was shooting episode 9. He took a break, came into the studio, and it's R2-D2's, and he's translating the Christmas messages that R2-D2 is bleeping and blooping. So it's a really cool special ornament. And it's a peak buster, too, so it's motion sensors.
Okay.
And it's designed to keep kids away from the tree. So they're giving warnings to not open
Does
or
it
peek
work
at
for
the presents.
cats? I have a friend whose cat keeps climbing his Christmas tree. Does it work for cats?
Probably. It's anything that moves in front of it.
That's good.
So, yeah, it may not say specifically cats, but...
Just to qualify that.
Yeah. And this last May the 4th, we got Luke and the land speeder, and since we already done him, we wanted to do him in his little wormy, poncho and hat.
Yeah. People forget about that hat. That's so iconic.
I know. I just thought it would be fun to add it on. So, and then coming out actually tomorrow, we have our itty bitties for episode 9. And then coming out in November, we have a Sith Trooper.
Yeah.
And that's in that release. We do have one more release I don't have a sample of Kylo and Rey dueling.
Yeah.
And so that's a 2-pack, and that will be out available on Saturday.
On
this
card,
Saturday.
is it? Card back?
No, it's I'm sorry, that's an ornament.
Right.
So it'll be a normal box keepsake.
I'm with you.
So yeah. And that's out this Saturday.
Excellent. Okay.
And then a lot of other things.
Oh,
Porg bottle opener with sound. Everybody loves the Porg.
Opener.
One thing I don't have is something that sold out so quick this year is a Porg and a pumpkin with flapping wings. We did not anticipate how popular a Porg and a pumpkin with flapping wings for Halloween was, and I don't even have one sample to show because they completely sold out in a month.
Just saying it makes me want to buy one.
Yeah, it is pretty stinking cute. So... but we do have Chewbacca with candy corn bandolier or a pug dressed as Vader.
You need to film that, Martin. That is too adorable.
He's really, really soft. He's very, very huggable.
He is.
And
now, there's a little Fett box there. I know somebody who might be interested in that. Fett fans always love their Fett stuff.
Yeah, these are all the Fetts we've created over the years. I thought, in honor of the Mandalorian, why not put all the Mandalorians together in one box? So, we also are doing a Mandalorian pen exclusive to this show.
I was going to ask you, you're doing stuff from the Mandalorian,
Yeah, so that is, we should have stuff next year.
Yeah.
We just don't have it to show here. But we do have a pixelated enamel pen.
Okay.
It goes on sale tomorrow for Force Friday, and it's exclusive to New York Comic Con.
Excellent.
So,
excellent. Which one makes you go, happy as a fan of all this stuff? Which one do you look at and go, oh yeah, I'm really pleased
all the
with
products?
Of course. You love them all,
what.
Of course, equally like children.
I
but
do.
Which one would you pick if the house was burning down?
Well, I mean, probably the Tauntaun with
Luke in the belly. Yeah.
Yes, but that's not an actual product yet. But for products this year, I'll tell you what, that Medal of Yavin. The Medal of Yavin for me was so cool just because we haven't done any. And when you're trying to think about all the ornaments that you can do, I've always wanted to do the Medal of Yavin.
Yeah.
So Han Solo, probably my favorite character, but Medal of Yavin is a really cool ornament.
That's a good choice. And it's in Rise of Skywalker as well. We see it in the trailer, don't we?
Yeah, I know. Well, that was just Kismet.
Yeah.
when that played and we had the ornament, we were like, yay!
Isn't it nice when a plan comes together?
I know. I was like, I meant to do that.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll speak to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
So we're at the end of another episode 23 of Making Tracks. Only our 23rd studio episode is ridiculous. I don't know where the time has gone this year, Dave. We say this every episode. We're going to do this more often. We're going to try and do a studio episode every other week. Come hell or high water, we will make it happen. And we'll get all the live episodes out in between. So we're going to try and do that. If you want to get in touch with Panther Tracks, this is how you do it. You can drop us an email, radio@panthertracks.com, or you can comment on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, any of our social media feeds at Panther Tracks. If you want to listen to the show, you can tune in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, listen to us on Stitcher, subscribe on Android, listen to us on Spotify, on SoundCloud, subscribe on TuneIn, listen to iHeartRadio, or even on Spreaker. We're on smart speakers such as Amazon Alexa, Apple HomePod, Google Home and Sonos. We're also available in your car, if you've got a car or an handspeeder, with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, or on your gaming consoles and your television. You can find us on Panther Tracks TV. You can get the Panther Tracks app, can't recommend that highly enough. And for any details on how to listen in or subscribe, head to the Panther Tracks Radio landing page on panthertracks.com. We've done another episode, Dave. I can't believe we've finally done it.
That is quite amazing that you've managed to get through that without dying.
That was one breath. Now, if you could see me, if this was a video podcast instead of an audio podcast, you'd see how bright I am.
Well, no, you've done very well. So congratulations.
We've both done.
Oh no, you've done better. Oh, for sure.
I'm just reading from a script. As if I could remember all of that and forget where I am half the time. So we'll do this again very soon, David. We will not leave it 2 months like we have this time. We'll try and do it again in a fortnight. We've had people emailing saying we want more studio episodes, which is nice. So more studio episodes from us. So for episode 23 of Making Tracks, I'm saying goodbye. Dave, say goodbye to Adording.
Toodaloos.
Adording. Say ho.